Hello friends and fans, and welcome to Wine and Canvas Indianapolis Online. My name is Bird, and I'm going to be your instructor. And this is the beautiful painting that we're about to do. But before we get started, let's go over a few things just to make your job at home a little bit easier. The first thing is our apron. Typically in the studio, we provide aprons to everybody to try to prevent any paint from getting on their clothing. And the good thing is we just recently started providing plastic aprons in your kits. If you did not receive one of your aprons, we're sorry, but we probably delivered your material to you before we got our shipment of aprons in. Now, if you don't have an apron, that's perfectly fine. You can wear older clothes that you don't mind paint getting on. The good thing about this is even if you do get paint on your clothing, it will come out as long as you wash it within 48 hours. Now in the studio, I always tell everybody to make sure that if you get paint on your clothing, go home, throw a little shout on it, give it a slight scrub and throw it in the washer. And as long as you wash it within 48 hours, it will come out. However, if you don't wash it within 48 hours, it won't come out. So be very cautious. And if you get paint on your clothing, make sure you get it washed out before it stains your clothing, because the last thing that we want to do here at Wine and Canvas is to ruin anybody's clothing. If you have an apron, go ahead and put your apron on. And if you don't have an apron, make sure you go put something on real quick that you don't mind paint getting on. Just pause the video and go and get your apron on. I'm going to put mine on right now while you guys are putting yours on. Okay, so now we all have our aprons or our older clothes on, and we're protecting our clothing. So the next thing that we want to go over is our paint brushes. For this painting, we're going to be using 4 brushes, and everybody should have received 4 brushes in their kit. Let's go ahead and pick those brushes up now. At Wine and Canvas, we refer to our paintbrush by number. Number 1 is our smallest brush. This is your fine point liner brush. All the way up to number 4 being our largest brush. So we have a 1, 2, 3, and 4 brush. So if I tell you guys that we're going to use our number 3 brush, go ahead and pick out your number 3 brush and hold them up to your TVs. I can't see them, but I bet you that you guys are all holding up your number 3 brush and you're actually ready to start painting. But let's go over a couple more things first. The next thing is our water cups. We did not provide a water cup for you guys in your kits, so you guys are going to want to go ahead and get a cup. Now, this could be any kind of cup. You can use a styrofoam cup, a paper cup, a plastic cup, a mason jar, or even a cup from your cupboard. If you're using a cup from your cupboard, don't worry. Just like with your clothing, as long as you wash it, it will come out. It's acrylic paint, and it actually is pretty forgiving. So, go ahead and get you a cup of water. Make sure that you fill it at least halfway up with water, so that way you can dip your paintbrushes in. And once you get your water, go ahead and take those 4 brushes and set them upside down in your cup of water. Okay, now let's go over our paint. Everybody should have received a paper plate with little cups of paint in your kits. This paint is the paint that we're going to be using for our painting. Now, the way I would advise for you to do this is leave your paint in your cups and only pull enough out of the cup that you need to actually do the part of the painting that we're going to be working on. So I'll pull a little bit of paint out of my cup, apply it onto my paper plate, so that way I can mix the water in with it or mix any other colors with it that I'm going to need to actually achieve the color blending that we're going to have in our painting. And the very last thing that you're going to want is your wine. This is Wine and Canvas after all, so it's not Wine and Canvas if you don't have your wine. We do have wine, and we actually sell wine and beer, and we'll deliver it to your home with your kits for any future class that you actually do with us. All you have to do is let us know that you want our drink menu, and we'll be happy to send that over to you so you could choose whatever drinks that you want while you're doing a class with us. Now, if you have your wine, Let's go ahead and have a toast. Thank you all for joining in on our class. Okay, to get started, we're going to use a 16 by 20 gallery wrapped canvas. And of course, we're going to use our paints that we provided to you. We're going to start off with our number 4 brush. With that number 4 brush, I am going to pick up some white. And I'm going to want to go into the very center of my canvas. And then I'm going to move slightly over to the left. And I'm just going to go put a little bit of white on there. Now I know that it's a little redundant to put white on white. But we're doing this because when we put our yellow on, we want to make sure that we have a really bright area. So I just put a little bit of that white on, not much. And then I don't need to rinse my brush out because we're going from my light color to a darker color. So I'm going to just go ahead and pick up a little bit of yellow. Not a whole lot, just a tiny little bit. Then I am going to do an oval shape around my white. And then I'm going to start bringing that white simply by doing these little bitty X patterns. I'm going to start pulling that yellow out away from my white. Then I'm going to start to fade that yellow very, very lightly. I'm just very lightly touching my canvas. I'm going back and forth in that little X pattern. I'm starting to pull it into the white. I'm not going to pull it all the way in. You notice how we have a bright area right in the center of that yellow. That is the goal. And bring some of that yellow coming down. So we want some of that yellow to start reflecting off of our water. I'm just going to pull some of that yellow coming down, so that way when we go to do our water, it's already in there. Just like that. We got that bright spot. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up some more white. And I'm going to go right on top of my yellow and fade it down into the yellow just a little bit. We want to work our way up into our sky first. And then we will start coming down and work on our water. I'm just going back and forth very, very lightly, just to fade those colors together. Now next, we're going to go ahead and go to the left side of our canvas, and we're going to mix a little bit of white and a little tiny little bit of blue together. We want that stuff to be super, super light. And since we've already got a little bit of white on our canvas, when we go to put this blue on, it's actually going to be super light and start fading in with that white and make it even lighter. That is the goal that we're looking for here. Now I just put a little bit of that blue on. Then I'm going to rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up a tiny little bit more white. If you feel like your blue is too dark, go ahead and use that white and fade it right back into that blue. We want it to be a super, super light blue. So notice I'm going to start pulling it into my yellow just a little bit. Just fade it on in there. Just like so. Just fade that blue in. A little bit of water on the tip of your bristles will actually help your fades. Now after I do that, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white and I'm going to move it over on my palette next to my red. I'm going to pick up just the tiniest little bit of red. Like you barely see any of that red on there. I'm going to mix that red and that white together. Give me a nice soft pink. Just a nice soft pink color. Now I'm going to go right into the area right on top of my yellow and blue. And I want to bring a little bit of that pink in. Just like so. Just fade it right in there. And I'm going to stretch that pink all the way over to my right side. Once again, using a little bit of water helps that paint go a long way. You don't need a whole lot of paint. Just a little bit of paint, a little bit of water, and it'll go a long way. Now if you notice, we got our pink, it's not fading into our other colors here. So I'm going to pick up a tiny little bit of water. I'm going to go back in where my pink is meeting these other colors. I'm going to start to fade them together. We want those nice soft transitions. You don't want a color and then immediately there is another color where that color has ended. We want it to fade just like this. We got our blues fading over into our yellow, it's fading up into our pink's fading down into our yellow. That is the idea. Now, while I'm using this pink, I am going to go ahead and bring it all the way down over here on my right side. Bring it to your yellow. Just fade it all the way in. All the way from the right side and fade it right into that yellow. Eventually we're going to go in and we're going to do some really bright pink clouds. So just come stretch right over in here. But for right now, let's go ahead and just fade these colors together, just like we have been. There we go, just like that. Nice soft fades. Almost looking like a pastel right now. It's a whole lot of water, a little bit of paint. Now let's go ahead and go darker. We're going to go all the way up to the top. I'm going to start over on our right side. And I'm going to start picking up just some blue starting off. Not mixing it with any other color. And I'm going to start putting that blue right up in my corner here. Now at this point, you're going to want to go ahead and wrap the paint around the top edge as well as the side edges of your canvas. The last thing you want to do is finish your painting and realize that you forgot to paint those sides. You're going to have these big old white borders after you hang your painting up, and that is not attractive. We want that beautiful painting to look like it's naturally wrapping around our edges. So go ahead and wrap that paint along your edges. The only thing you won't want to do is pick your canvas up and do the bottom edge. We don't want to do that just yet. We'll do that more towards the end of our class. Because if you do it now, and then you set your canvas back onto your easel, it's actually going to dry to the easel. So let's save that bottom edge until the very end of our painting. Now I'm going to continue to stretch this blue all the way over to my left corner. And I'm going to rinse my brush out. I left an area here in the center where we're going to eventually go back in with some more white and a little bit of red, that pink color. Start fading it in and giving ourselves a purplish tint. But first I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. And I'm going to pick up a tiny little bit of purple. I like doing this. Taking our blue and our purple and mixing them together. It makes a nice, fun color called blurple. It's more fun to say than it is to create. I'm going to take this purple and I'm going to mix it in with my blue, both sides. And once again, I will rinse my brush out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some more of that pink color. Like I said, we want to go into this area and start pulling that pink into our blue. Just fade those colors together. So I'm going to take a nice little chunk of white, just a tiny little bit of red. I'm going to mix those colors together. Now I'm using a palette. It's what artists like to use because we stand up, and when we're standing up, it makes it a lot easier for us to hold this. You guys are going to be using your plate. You're just going to mix your paint right there on your plate. And once I get my paint mixed, I'm going to pick up a little bit of water on the tip of my bristles. I'm going to go in, I'm going to start filling the rest of this area up here with pink. Now, notice I'm starting to fade it into my blue there. That's fine. That's what we want to do. Just fade it right in there. I'm actually going to even pick up a little bit of red, just a little bit. I'm going to go right into the top. Now, when red and blue mix together, it creates a purple. You guys have a color chart in your box, and you can put a little bit of paint in each one of the circles that is provided on there with the name. And when you take those two colors and you put them in the square, it's going to show you what color you get. That's the color that we're going for right now. I'm just going to go back and forth, get a little bit of water on my brush, go back and forth, start pulling all those colors together. Pull them all together. Just like so. I'm going to pick up with that dirty brush a little bit of white, a little bit more of that pink color. I'm going to go right into my areas where my blue is. And once again, I'm going to fade all that together. Just go back and forth, fade it together. I'm going to do that on my left side as well. Now, I want to focus a lot of white in this area here. We want it to start brightening up as it comes down. Once we do this, I'm going to start pulling some of that color over to the side edges to actually fade all this together. So I'm going to rinse my brush out thoroughly. The best way to do that, if you don't know, is to simply take your paintbrush and jab it down to the bottom of your cup. And start pulling all that paint out of your bristles. Once I get my brush clean, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a nice hefty chunk of white. I'm going to go right into that area, and I'm going to start pulling that white, just like I was talking about. Pull it off both sides to start fading all these colors here together. You can bring it up, you can bring some of that white down. Notice how it's starting to give that nice soft transition. Using a little bit of water on your bristles actually helps this. So don't be afraid to grab some of that water on the very tip of the bristles. You don't want to dip the whole brush into the water, because if you do, you're going to get water that accumulates onto your metal part here. And then you're going to go back and start painting. And when you do, that water will fall off that onto your canvas, much like I did right here. And look what happens. That water takes the paint all the way back down to the canvas. And we don't want that to happen. Now, the good thing is that's in an area that's going to get covered up. Notice pulling some of that blue coming down to my other colors that I had down here. It's again using the water. Just using a little bit of water to do this. My dirty brush with some water. Go in, start fading it all together. I want to continuously dip the tip of my bristles into my water cup. And we're getting that brightness that we're looking for there. Well, once again, rinse my brush out thoroughly. Get all that water out of the bristles. I like to flick it against my easel here. But you can tap your brush onto your paper towels and it'll do the exact same thing. Now with my clean brush, I'm going to pick up just a little bit of water. I want to once again go in, start trying to fade all those colors together. Remember that we don't want a color to immediately stop and then start another color, much like we have over here. So using just a little bit of water, I want to go in and I'm going to continuously try to fade those together to do away with those hard edges. And it's okay to pull a little bit of that blue coming down. All right, so now I want to go ahead and focus a little bit more on my pink. So once again, take some white, take a little bit of red, mix those together. This time I want to make it a little bit darker than we made it before. Mix it right there on your palette or your plate. And I want to go back in and redefine the pink that we actually started with right here. Just stretch it back over. Bring some of it coming all the way over here. Why not? Maybe some of that color actually. Maybe some of it lives right up here. Let's go ahead and just put a little bit of it there. Maybe there's some of that pink just peeking through the clouds up here. I get my pink on there. Once again, let's rinse our brush out. All right. Now, just like before, I'm going to go in and start fading all this together. Fading is a big part when it comes to painting. And I'm about to do a video and release it for you guys explaining the best ways to do your fades. It's not that hard once you get a little understanding on how to do it. But without having a little guidance, it can be a little bit difficult and it can frustrate people. So I think I'm going to do a video and it'll actually be released and be on there for anybody to view it. Just trying to give you guys a little bit more of an understanding on how to go about achieving your fades like I am right here. Now before I go and fade down from here, I want to make sure that my brush is nice and clean. The last thing you want to do is have a dirty brush and start going down into your lighter colors, and then it starts pulling those darker colors down into your light. We don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out, go in and start pulling that pink down some. Now at this point, if you want to go up, it's okay to go up into the dark. You can take that light into the dark, but you don't want to take your dark into the light. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. Once again, I want to try to define this and give that fade. I'm not liking the way that it faded, so I'll pick up just a little bit of yellow and help pull it to those other colors there and give myself that fade. Plus it'll do away with these little residue areas. Once I do that, I'll pick up a little bit more white, a little bit of water. I'm going to go right back into our bright area here. I'll fade it out just a little bit. And then let's go ahead and take that white and pull it right back into the very top of where that yellow is. I want all those colors to fade nice and smoothly together, just like so. See how it's a nice soft transition. If you put too much yellow on, go back in with a little bit more of your pink. That's fine. As long as you are working on those fades, that is the whole trick to this painting. satisfied with the way that it's looking. I'm not really going to worry too much about all of this right here because it's going to get covered up with a whole lot of nice clouds coming across. And to start off with those clouds, we're going to come over here to the purple one. We're going to switch that 4 brush to a number 3 brush. I'm going to start off with a light pink color. Just take just a little bit of white, a little bit of red, mix those colors together. And let's start off on the left side of our white area here. And just go in and start doing this little circle motion. A little circle motion. Let's just give ourselves the idea where these clouds are going to go. Maybe there's a little cloud right here, right above that one cloud, stretching all the way over. Nothing fancy. Put my pink on. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to pick up some purple and a little bit of white. Mix those 2 colors right there together, right there on our palette. Using a little bit of water, it's actually going to help it, once again, go a lot farther. Maybe I'll even take a little bit of blue. I'm going to mix that blue in with it. Let's make it a blurple. How about that? There we go, that's better. All right, now with that color, I'm going to go right onto the bottom of where I put these clouds. I'm going to start tapping. I'm partially tapping and I'm partially going in that circle motion. I'm just going to put some of that more on the bottom side of these pink clouds here. We're going to go back in and define these clouds a little bit more later on. First, I just wanted to give myself an idea of where these things are going to be at. I want the bottom of this big cloud here to be a little bit lighter. So I'll rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up some white. I'm just going to go back and forth with that number 3 brush and a little bit of white, and a little bit of water. Just kind of fade it out. Looks like it's just kind of misting out there. That's what we want. Alright, now we're going to go over here, right above our white area there. And I'm going to go ahead and mix a little bit more red in with my pink. I want it to be a brighter pink color there. And let's go do the same thing. Maybe we got a nice little cloud right here. Maybe we got another little guy that's all by himself living right there. Why not? Alright. Now as I come over, I am going to make it to where my clouds are a lot bigger. And as they come over to the edge here, it's going to get darker. So go ahead and add little guys in. Make them look like they're far off in that distance. And then, like I said, as I come over, I'm going to start getting larger. Let's do one big happy cloud right here. And he just continues to stretch on over. Stretch that guy all the way over there to the edge. I'll make it a little bit more defined. Right now I'm just giving myself the idea of where I want these little things to live. Maybe this one is kind of stretching off behind our horizon line, coming over. No right or wrong way to this. Yours isn't going to look just like mine. Mine's not going to look just like yours. Matter of fact, no artist can even replicate the exact same painting to a T twice. Before I go over into my darker areas, I want to go ahead and fade these clouds out just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out. And since we got it standing in front of our yellow, let's go ahead and pick up just a tiny little bit of yellow. I'm going to go onto the bottom side of all these little clouds here. Just like we did over here with our purple into the pink, we're going to start off with some yellow right onto the bottom side of these clouds. Just a little bit. Bring it up in there and pull down. We want it to look like, since it's so close, that yellow is just kind of beaming right off the bottom of those things. Now, it might start turning a little bit orange. That's fine. That's actually helping the effect that we want to go with here. We want it to look like that sun is brightening all these clouds up, and as it's going away from our light source, it's getting slightly darker and darker and darker. So it's coming right off of our horizon line. Maybe it's capturing a little bit of white. Just a little bit of white right here. I'm gonna fade it in, fade it up. Just like we did over here, we kind of want it to haze out just a little bit. Maybe even stretch so that cloud coming over, creating the illusion of that horizon line. Like I said, don't worry too much about how your clouds are looking right now. So we will go back in and add some more definition to them. Right now we just want to give ourselves the idea of where these things live. Alright, now I'm going to go back over here. Once again, I'm going to use a little bit of that pink, but I want to add a little bit more red into it. I want it to be a little bit darker than it was in the center. So again, I'm going to go and start creating the shapes. As I do this, to create the shapes of the top, if I didn't say this already, all I'm doing is tapping and slightly curving the brush into my hand to where it's giving these bubble effects up top. We want these clouds to look kind of fluffy. Just turn it as it's going in your hand. I'm going to go ahead and just fill this area here in. Now I have a hill here with a tree stretching up, so I don't need to bring it down too far, but I do want to go ahead and just fill this area in right here. And once again, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow right here. It's going to be turning this pink into an orangish color. It's almost like a tequila sunrise color. A little bit of pink, a little bit of yellow. It's going to give us that orange color. See how it's starting to fade together? Give us that orange color right there. There we go. And over here, I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of purple. And I want the top of my clouds to be slightly darker. All I'm doing is tapping these. Once you tap it on, you can pull it down slightly. Just very, very lightly pull down. Or go back and forth very, very lightly. Just fades it all together. All right, so we got our idea of our clouds done. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and rinse my number 3 brush out. I'm going to pick up my number 2 brush. With that number 2 brush, I'm going to go up and give myself the indication of a moon far, far off in the distance. Now, all I'm going to do is get a little bit of white, just the tiniest little bit of white. A little bit of water, tiniest little bit of white. Let's go put what we call a fingernail shaped part of our moon up here. Now I'm going to just draw it in at first, just a tiny one, it don't have to be big. I want the top part to be more of a point, and as it curves down, it's going to get a little bit fatter and just kind of fade out. I don't want it to be real defined. That right there is about good. But if you want to fade it out a little bit more, simply rinse your brush out, take a little bit of water, just kind of fade it out a little bit, just like so. Now let's go down and let's do the indication of our water. To do this, I'm going to switch back to my number 4 brush. I'm going to start off by putting water all over the bottom down here. It's going to start loosening up all that paint that we've already got down there, which is perfectly fine. It's all going to fade together anyway. Once I get water all over the bottom part of my canvas there, I'm going to start off by coming up into this area, working my way over here with some white. Just a little bit of white, not a lot. This is going to help our fades as we're pulling it all down. So water, and a little bit of white over here on the left side. And just like we did up in our sky, we're going to pull all those colors down. Now the difference is it's going to be down instead of up. Up here we went up. Let's go under the purple cloud here with just the tiniest little residue of purple, not a whole lot. Just fade that in. Fading that right into our white and our water. Maybe bring it down a little bit. That's fine too. Let's just go ahead and bring it down a little bit. Maybe I even got some of it coming over here. Well, you can do yours any way you want. I want just some streaks of that purple coming through. I'm not picking up any more. I'm just using the residue on my brush. And I'm just going back and forth very, very lightly with the very tip of my bristles. All right, now go ahead and get a little bit of water, and just the tiniest, a little bit of blue on my brush there. Let's go in, let's do some of these blue streaks. I don't want to cover my purple up, so I'm going to just bring that blue periodically around the edges of my purple, and very lightly with a little bit of water go in and just fade it all together here. I like that. Now let's go over here more onto our right side. I'm going to pick up a little bit of yellow. Once again, pull that yellow over towards the right. I'll rinse my brush out. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my pink. If you need to mix a little bit more, mix it right on top of the area where we already mixed it. And let's go bring some of that pink right on top of that yellow there. Now, you see what's going to happen is, just like up in our clouds, the pink and the yellow will start creating an orange color. And then you can actually use the corner of your brush to start bringing some of that color over as a reflection of our clouds. At this point, if you feel more comfortable switching to your number 3 brush to bring your clouds over, you can do so. I don't mind using my number 4 brush because I'm just going to use more of the corner. I'm just going to go in and just start tapping the indication in reverse of my clouds. I'm going to very, very lightly go in and just start pulling back and forth. Just let those colors kind of blend together there. Very, very lightly. Maybe have a streak of that color coming over here and there. This is your world. Do it how you like it. It's fine. Now I'm going to go even darker over here. I'm going to first pick up just some red. Now let's go just kind of cut in, coming down a little bit. Just fade it in. Fade that red in to the colors that we've already got. Using a little bit of water. Now, I'm not going to focus in here because, like I said, we're going to have that hill coming in. But I do want to get all of this faded real nicely, though. Alright, now let's pick up some purple. Let's go bring that purple and just start fading it into our red here. And let's give the indication of some darker areas kind of poking through right there. Maybe even one right here. I'm going to bring some of that purple down like this. Using some water to do this. Very lightly. I'm going to pull. I'm also going to pick up a tiny little bit of blue. Let's just put a little bit of that blue right there.
Then I'll wipe my brush off on my paper towel. Don't need to rinse it because we're still going to just fade all this together here. All right. Now let's rinse our brush with that clean brush. Go in, start fading all this together with some water. Now it's up to you on how dark you go here. Since it's farther away from our light source, I want it to be darker over there, just like our clouds. Now we can take a little bit of white into this area and fade it back over too. So let's just take a little bit of white, put it on there. You see I was immediately starting to blend everything better. White is a good thing when it comes to your painting. I just wanted to fade it all together and give myself a nice smooth fade. Go in and add some more indications of reflections of those clouds. However you want to go about doing that. Just smooth it all back out. Maybe even put a little bit of white on the bottom of these reflections and just kind of pull it over into the dark area a little bit. See how that's working? All right, so we got ourselves our idea where everything is going here. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up some black. So let's rinse our brush out. Go ahead and switch to our number 3. Make sure you get all that water off your brush. Let's go pick up a little bit of black. Let's go create the shape of our hill here. Now, I'm going to go over probably a full hand's width over from the very edge. So I'll place the tip of my finger to the very edge. And then where the palm of my hand hits my canvas, I am going to go in and place a little dot with that black. Now, this is going to be the point of our little hill or island that kind of fades off into our water. So of course it's going to be thinner here and it's going to get thicker as it comes over. So I'm going to start on my thinner area, and then I'm going to come at an upward angle, and as I come over I'm going to go a little further up. Then I am going to come back to that point, and this time I'm going to go down a little bit as I come over. And once you get that there done, go ahead and start filling in that hill with your black. Now maybe in your world, maybe there's a little trees right here on your island, but they're so far off that you really can't see any definition in them. The best way to do this is to take your brush and pull it on both sides, flattening out your brush, and then you're going to hold your brush to where your bristles are vertical. You're just going to go in and tap and push down. Just tap and push down, giving a little indication of some trees far off on that little island. I'm going to make them smaller as I come down towards the edge. And make them different sizes, who cares? You got one big one right there. There you go, just like that. And then I'm just going to pull very lightly. Just give it the indication that those trees live on there. Once we do that, let's go ahead and rinse our brush out. We don't want to leave that island a solid black. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of purple. I want to mix those colors together right there. Take a tiniest little bit of blue, mix there in with it. Now with that color, I want to go in, and first I'm going to cut in right on the bottom of my island here. Just go in with that color. Even if you pick up a little bit of black, that's fine. And I'm just going to go put a little bit of that color right into the bottom of my island. Then I'm going to go into the island itself. Just pull a little bit of that color in and fade it right into the black. I want it to look like maybe it's a little mist or something. stretching right in front of our island. Just like that. Now to do the bottom part, I want to go back to my number 4 brush. So go ahead and pick up your number 4, knock all that water out. Then I'm going to pick up some black. I'll give myself a nice sharp edge simply by pulling both sides of my brush onto my palette. And mixing a little bit of water in with this, it will go a long way and it'll glide across your canvas a lot smoother. Now over on the right side, I want it to be a little bit taller and kind of taper off as it comes over to the left-hand corner. So I'm going to go approximately 4 fingers up on the right side of my canvas, place a little dot, hold my brush to where it's horizontal, and then I'm going to just start going in and drawing in the shape that we want this little island down here on the bottom to be. I'm going to taper it off all the way to the bottom left-hand corner. Once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and just pick up a lot of black. I'm going to go fill this thing in with a solid black. Make yours whatever shape you want here. Once I fill it in with black, I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my number 3 brush. We want to go in and we're going to add little grass indications poking up all the way on this little island down here. Very similar to the way we done our trees. The only difference here is this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my black. I'm going to put my brush to where my bristles are vertical. Then I'm going to just lightly flick up. Just flick upwards. Put as much of that grass on there as you want. You put it wherever you want. You can also hold your brush to where it's horizontal and then lightly flick up. It's also going to give more of a filler effect there. So if you got grass, define your larger blades and then go in and hold your brush to where it's horizontal and flick up. That's going to actually fill it in a little bit. Once I get my grass done, I want to smooth out the inside of our island area again. Just like that. You can put that grass wherever you want here. Maybe I got a whole lot of that stuff just living right over here. Tall ones, short ones. Let's add a little bit of indication of some of that grass blades here. We don't want it to be too lonely. Gotta have some friends. Okay. Just like that. So we got all of our idea here. We got a nice good start. This will be a good time for us to take a nice break, let this thing dry, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes and we're going to go back in and start adding some detail. The last thing that we'll do after we add our stars is go in and add our tree. So we want to add our detail and our stars before we do the tree. Go ahead and pause your video or watch a little clip that we have, and let's let this thing dry. Alright everybody, welcome back from our break. Our paintings are now thoroughly dry. Now we can start going in and adding all of our detail. To do this, we're going to want to start off with our number 2 brush. And we're going to go in and we're going to start doing our clouds. Now you can go and you can start over on the right side or the left side. And I want you to go in and you're going to start filling in all the little detail colors. So if you want to add more pink, you want to mix your little pink together. You're going to go in, you're going to start adding those little details in. I want my clouds to be a little bit more fluffy up top. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to add the indication, just like I told you guys before, using the very corner of your brush to round it around to give the impression that those clouds are fluffy. So let's listen to some music while we go in and we add all these little fun details to our clouds. You can add whatever you want to yours. You can do what I'm doing. It's totally up to you. But let's go in and let's have some fun. Let's make these paintings come alive. We can add a whole lot of detail into our clouds, but it's totally up to you on how much detail you add. When you get done with your clouds, the next thing you're going to do is pick up your number 4 brush, and we're going to go back down into our water, and we're now going to start adding our detail into our water. We provided images in all of your boxes of the painting that we're doing, and hopefully you're using that as a guide so you can pull that out and actually see how all the detail in your clouds as well as your water goes. So once again, let's go in and start putting our detail on. And have fun while you're doing it. Alright, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time down in my water here, but you can if you want to. My suggestion would be to try to make sure that your darks are over on the right, and as it fades over, it's going to get lighter and lighter. I rather like the pastel colors that I have over here on my left-hand side. The only thing that I would like to do before we go to our next step is I'm going to add a little bit more of that magenta color down here above our island. To do this, I'll mix a little bit of white, a little bit of purple, and just a tiny little bit of red together, giving myself a nice magenta color. I'm going to take some water, mix in with it. I'm going to go right down here. I'm going to start putting that on. It doesn't matter if you go in front of your grass, because we're about to actually lighten this up and make it more of a translucent color simply by adding more water. So wherever you want that magenta color, go ahead and put it on there. Rinse your brush out. And then get just the tiniest little bit of water on the tip of your bristles, and then go in and just start fading them in. You can go back in You can define your grass and your island if you somehow don't like the way that it looks. That's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of purple into that. Just like we did when we were over here. Since it's already wet, I'm going to add some purple right on top and fade it in. I'll go ahead and put a little bit of my orange color that I mixed from my clouds in right here, just to give it the impression of that dark fading into the light. Plus, purple and orange go good together. Like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time down here because it already looked pretty good the way it was. One thing you can do, once you get your water the way that you like it, is you can go in and add the impression of little white ripples of water. To do this, you can use your number 3 or your number 4 brush. Just pick up some white, flatten your brush out on both sides. I'm using a little bit of water, a little bit of white. You can go in and start doing these little white streaks. And then hold your brush vertical, a little bit of water on the tip of your bristles, and lightly just start fading it into the rest of your paint. Just gives the impression that there's little ripples in there. Now if you feel like you need to re-hit your island, which I'm going to on mine, it'll be the time to do so before we go up to our sky. So let's go ahead, get a little bit of black, redefine the shape of your island. And then you can go back in and do your grass once more. If you like the way that your island looks, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to do anything else to it. Remember to do your grass, you're going to use your number 3 brush. I'm using a watered down black. Just take some water, mix it in with a little bit of black, flatten out your brush, go in and add that grass. Just wherever you want it. Remember, the trick on making it fill up is hold your brush horizontal once you get your blades done and lightly pull up. It's going to make it look like it's a little bit more full. Then you'll go back and you're going to pull your brush across the top of your hill or island once more to smooth it all back out. Alright, so once you get done with your clouds, your water, and then redefining the shape of your little island down there, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to switch to our number 1 brush. Well, the number one brush, like I said at the beginning of this class, is our fine point liner brush. We are not going to use the bristles. To do this, let's flip our brush backwards, and we're going to use the wooden part. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to dip the wooden part into my white. Then we're going to go up into our sky, and wherever you want a little star, you're just going to touch the canvas with the wooden part. Just wherever you want those things. Typically you're going to see your stars more in the darker area of your sky. And then as it goes down, you're going to see less in the lighter areas. So I'm going to focus the majority of my stars up in my darker spots. This is the easiest way when using the brush to do your stars, but there's an easier way to do it even more so, and I'll show you how to do that real quick just in case you want to do it at home. To do that, I will use my number 3 brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep picking up some white, and I'm going to water down a whole lot of this white. Just keep adding water to it. And then I'm going to load my brush. Then what I'll do is I'm going to pull the bristles on my brush back with one finger and then release. And you can do this all over the top of your painting. And all it's going to do is give the impression of these far off distant stars. You want to make sure it's watered down enough. If it's not watered down, then you're going to flick your brush, and then you're going to have stringy stars of white going everywhere. They might be shooting stars, but we don't want those shooting stars in this painting. We just want those little droplets like that. Just like that. Now it looks like we got a galaxy up here. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that number 2 brush once more. I'm going to go redefine that little fingernail shape of our moon with just a little bit of white. Just redefine it a little bit. Just like that. Now, to do our tree, we're going to go in with our number 3 brush. We're going to start over in this area right here on the right side of our island. There's not a whole lot to the actual trunk part of our tree. You just want to use some watered down black. So just keep adding a little bit of water into your black. Then I'm going to hold my brush to where the bristles are vertical. And then wherever you choose to start it, just go ahead and pull upwards. That's all you're going to do. Now the bottom will be thicker and it'll thin out as it goes up towards the top, just like any normal tree. And just to make it look more like a palm tree, I'm going to give my edges a little roughness to it. They don't want to be smooth. So all I'll do is as I'm going down on both sides of my tree, I'm going to wiggle my brush back and forth, giving the indication of these little knots. We'll do this on both sides. And once you get those, go back in with your brush and then just very lightly smooth the center back in. I'm going to show you the easiest way to do the top of our palm tree. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and put some black lines wherever you want them. They're more of an arched shape. And once you get those, to do the leaves that's coming off of those, all I want to do is touch my brush to the line and pull down. This is the easiest way. There's several other ways that you can do palm trees, but for the purpose of what we're doing here tonight or today, we are just going to touch the line and pull down. Now, of course, these leaves are going to be longer as they come up towards the trunk of the tree. And they'll get shorter as they come down towards the tip. You can add those leaves and branches anywhere you want. You do as many as you want. I like doing the bigger ones and then going to my smaller ones. It just makes it a little bit easier. Do your smaller ones first. You're going to want to actually do all of them small. And we don't want them all small. I want them all different sizes. Trees come just like people, different shapes and sizes. Some are big, some are small, some are tall, some are short. So make sure you add all those characteristics into this one little tree. That tree is the main focal point of our painting here right now, besides the actual light coming over our horizon. You can also go in, and I did not do this, but you can go in with a little bit of highlight, and you're going to want to focus that highlight on the left side of your tree, because our light source is over on the left side, so of course it's going to be hitting the left side of our tree. You can go down here and you can add some highlight into your little island down there. It's perfectly up to you on which way you go about doing it. I didn't want to add that in because I didn't want to take away too much from the colors that we have. And that black actually pops out because of all the colors in our background. Now the last thing that you're going to do when you get done doing your tree and finalizing any other details that you want to put into your painting is use your number 1 brush. We're going to paint our signature onto our canvas. Now typically, artists will choose either the lower left or right hand corner of their painting to sign. It's up to you on which way you go about doing it. You can sign it anywhere else. You can sign the back, or you don't have to sign it at all. However, I always try to tell everybody, please sign your painting. You created this thing. And the great thing about art is art outlives us. So you want to go ahead and put your signature on there because you never know one day what your painting might be worth to somebody. So to do this, I always like signing my lower right hand corner. And I'm going to choose a light color since I'm going to be signing on a dark area. And I'm just going to use a little bit of white and water it down. And as I'm pulling my brush towards me, I'm actually turning my brush to give myself a nice little fine point, which is going to make it easier to actually go in and paint your signature. And there we go.
All right, everybody. Now, wasn't that fun? I want to thank all of you for painting with me today. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you in the studio one day painting with us, or tune into another one of our future classes. Now, if you had fun and you liked this video, please scroll down and click on like and subscribe to our channel so you can be updated on all the stuff that we have going on with YN Canvas Indianapolis. You'll be the first to know of any new changes that we have, and trust me, we have a lot of new positive changes coming, and you'll be the first to know. So subscribe below, and please leave us a comment on what you think that we could do to make our videos better and your time with us that much more enjoyable. Also, please send us a picture of your finalized painting at our email address below. We would love to see how your paintings turned out. And once again, everybody, remember, we're making memories one painting at a time.